All right, welcome back to My Mom's Basement and a very special Last of Us edition of My Mom's Basement with our first guest of the season, John Henry Feitelberg. It's a post-apocalyptic world, right? It's like there's not a lot of people around. We don't know who to grab, who's infected, who's safe. And we realize Feitelberg's watching the show. He's safe. Get in the basement, Feitelberg.
I'm fucking here, boys. I am here. Very, very much here.
And you're loving the show, right? We saw your tweets. Yeah, last night you were all about it.
I'm obsessed with the show. I love the show. Even the parts where I know I just told you guys off air, I think, but I was waiting for someone to catch up to watch with me. So I watched the first 5 on Sunday nights, and then someone wanted to watch with me, and I was like, all right, Mom, fucking catch up. And then she took too long, and so last night I did 6, 7, and 8, and I had seen the negative criticisms of 6 and 7. So maybe I went in with a low bar, but I loved those too. They haven't missed yet, as far as I'm concerned. Every single one has been great. I thought the one in the mall was unbelievable. Maybe not unbelievable, but really good. I thought I really enjoyed that one as well. They were all there. It's been 10 out of 10 the whole way for me.
You didn't have that like, oh shit, it's over now. I have a week to wait. So you just got to go right back in. So I think that helps because we said the same thing. Like I felt like it was a necessary episode. It was by no means great, but at the same point, you're just like, all right, now let's keep it rolling. And then the way last night ended, it's like, I saw you tweet it. You're like, I fucking love The Last of Us. And I was telling Robbie before we went live, I was like, there's certain people at Barstool, when they're watching the same show I'm watching, I'm very happy. You, Kev, Trent,
hell yeah.
You guys are my guys. Like I love being in the foxhole with you guys. So I love to have you all caught up, and we're going to be going in, which I didn't realize last night was the penultimate episode. So we got the fucking finale coming next week. And you know, those guys are looking to gut our souls right now.
I also didn't realize that last night was the penultimate, and we talked about this on KFC Radio today too. Penultimate only gets used in TV.
Yes,
no one ever says anything about penultimate unless it's about television. But I was surprised to see that next week's the finale because I feel like seasons usually do 8 or 10. I don't think there's a lot of 9 episode seasons. That seems like it's pretty rare.
Which opens up the door for a secret episode.
We've been waiting for secret episodes for a very long time. Remember that
every show we think maybe we could get a secret episode. It's like you stay tuned. The next week, imagine an episode just came out, a finale.
That would be sick. I'm very into that.
PS, an epilogue.
The entire world convinced itself Game of Thrones was going to have a secret episode. You remember that? That was like the thing like the last season, and they're like, no, that was it. It was terrible. You guys are fucked out. So
we've been hoping for it ever since, though. We're like, we will get a secret episode one of these days on some TV show. Great. There will be one. I think there actually was a secret episode on a show we weren't watching too.
Yeah.
We were like, fuck, we weren't watching it. They did a secret episode. But like you said, I think even the mall episode, even if you called that the worst episode of The Last of Us, I think the bar for this show, it's such a good show that even the lowest of that show is like better than most other shows. And the actors in it are so good. The action that they weave in is so good. Even that we expected a lot more zombies going into the show, or clickers. Sorry, not using the fucking Z word in front of people. Not a lot infected. And it's honestly been scarier with the people.
Yeah, I agree with that. I also think, sorry, Clem. I also think that I like how they do a lot of the storylines. We were saying this, that it's actually like almost they're all, not all, but many of them, some of their best episodes, episode 3, maybe not episode 5 so much, but last episode 7, they're like standalones where if you just tell someone beforehand, you're like, listen, here's the deal. Zombies infected the world. This girl's immune. They're trying to use her to save the world. And you go. And you can do it. Episode 3 you can do. Now she's not in it very much. And then this one you can as well, where it's like, this is just a beautiful story. Like, episode 3 is just a beautiful romance story. Episode 7 I thought was just another beautiful romance story where someone losing someone they love. I think I would get overwhelmed. And I to preface this whole show, I've never seen The Walking Dead. I actually have really never been too big into zombie content until this show. I think I would be overwhelmed and would get kind of almost drown in and become numb to the idea of just constant zombies attacking all the time. Where this is like the flashbacks and the romance and the love that you see in this is beautiful and incredible to me.
I agree, and I feel like there are also different kinds of zombies. And in The Walking Dead, which you haven't seen, you just said, they're not as big a threat. Like they're a threat if you got a horde of them or something, but generally they're just mindless, like walking around like you would see zombies in media. In The Last of Us, last week when that zombie came into the Halloween shop, it was running faster than fucking Usain Bolt. Like these things are issues. One of them is a huge issue. So I do like that they're like, kind of showing you that. And when we had the horde in the one episode where they came up from the ground, that was a fucking moment and a half right there. So it's like you're saving the zombie moments for the big zombie moments. I like that.
Yeah, right. You're not overdoing it. I think you said that in Walking Dead they're very slow moving and things like that. I think that's what turns me off to them, because the only thing I've ever liked aside from this is World War Z. I love World War Z
because super fast zombies.
I think the slow moving is just like, I don't know, man. Just walk kind of fast away and be done with this. Like that doesn't scare me as much as like, oh, they can fucking cruise is a different story.
Yeah, and Clem has been generally a pussy in this show, just to be honest, if we're being honest. Anytime he sees a zombie, Feits, he hits mute on his TV. He just hits mute, and he watches on closed captions.
Why?
Because I'm scared. I'm a scared person. Bob's throwing the P word around a little. There's been a little friction in the basement.
There has been, yeah. I brought Feitelberg into this. This is like when a relationship is going sour, and I'm like, let's try a threesome.
Exactly. Feitelberg, I think, has been in that exact situation in his life at least one time that he's recorded on a podcast. So
me and Clem have been yelling at each other over food takes. He tweeted me a picture of Khabib choking out McGregor. I tweeted back the Giants boat picture. Things usually don't get that contentious in the basement.
Wait, I saw that. You started that with the sandwiches.
Yeah.
You started it calling out my doesn't answer too. So like, don't.
By the way, I'm Team Fox. I pretty rarely talk to Dave, and I texted Dave about that. I was like, dude, I'm in the trenches right now about this Yodels business. This is crazy over here.
Feits, Dave told me that. Dave in the green room was like, Feits doesn't text me. Feits hasn't texted me in 4 fucking years. He texted me about this. If people don't know what we're talking about, go check out The Dozen and Viva La Stool and all of that. It's a whole thing. But let's get into The Last of Us. We start with that religious prayer circle, which immediately we're like, all right, what are we getting into here? There's a girl crying, and we find out later it's because her dad was the one that we saw killed and everything. The town is super low on food, and Joel is not doing too good. So Ellie tries to hunt, falls flat on her face, gets some clicking sounds. If you watched on closed captions, I saw Feits tweeting about. I was very much like, oh my God, I see clicker, getting afraid. We were told before the episode too by mutual friend Justin Kroll, this one's going to be super creepy. So I was very much like, we're going to get a creepy zombie scene. Different direction. But she finds those 2 townspeople. She negotiates, and they kick off the episode with that.
That was the clicking was a because again I'm closed captions, and even when I saw the captions, I tuned in. I could kind of hear it at that point. I was still not positive what it is. There does seem to be some debate, at least in my mentions on Twitter, about whether it's someone said it was the deer's hooves, which I mean he's in a couple inches of snow. I'm not buying clicking on that.
Yeah.
Someone else said that the other guys were using antlers and they were rattling those, which is a hunting technique, which I actually did know about. And they were like rattling those, but that's rattling. See, I even just instinctively said rattling. That's rattling. Not clicking. That's rattling.
No,
maybe
in the show where they're using the term clickers, I don't think closed captions would make that like Freudian slip and say that if they didn't mean it.
So we heard that it was going to be a creepy episode, right? I turned it on last night. Captions just weren't working for me. And I'm a mute guy during creepy episodes. So I was like, motherfucker, I'm going out. And listen, we're going to talk like this was the worst version of creepy possible this episode ended up being, but it wasn't the kind I needed the mute for. So I'm kind of happy because I was blind. So I didn't even know this whole clicker thing. But another thing that confused me, I didn't realize that they were talking about the guy from the college that he killed. Like they didn't make that abundantly clear, right? Like I felt like
it was more of a reveal later on.
Okay, and even then it wasn't bashed over heads. Like I thought it might be the case, and then by the end I was like, I'm pretty sure I still didn't know when the credits ran. I was like, I think that's what they were talking about this whole time.
I figured it out because I was watching with my mom. I was back home, and she's not the greatest television watchers. They're new adapters to primetime TV, and I have to explain a lot to her. And so when they're sitting by the fire, they're waiting for I think his name might have been Joe, I forget, to go get the medicine.
Like that, yeah.
Yep. While they're waiting for him, that I got it then. I hit pause and I was like, so you understand what's happening, right? Like, because he says, like, you know, everything happens for a reason. I sent 4 people out. Only 3 came back. A crazy man killed one. I put that together pretty fast. And maybe that's because I knew I was going to have to explain things to my mom. So I was zoned in. But I got it right there. I was like, oh shit, it's the guy they killed, the guy whose neck they broke.
I might be slow too. I'm fully going to put that one out there potentially. Also, like it is kind of a, I don't know, it's not really a trope, but I feel like it has kind of become the case. Like a preacher guy leading a group of villagers, you're like sus list immedially.
Immediately.
Bro, once you said he was a teacher, the teacher to preacher to pedophile is about the trajectory you go.
That is how it goes.
What is that? The game of life? I think that's like you can do like the fast lane, and it's just like if you want to just do this, you can go teacher, preacher, predator. You're fucking there, right?
Yeah. His right-hand man, by the way, in this episode, he's got that guy with the beard that's kind of his guy the whole episode, is the voice of Joel in the video game. I thought that was cool. They're kind of giving a lot of the video game actors roles in this show, and people are speculating that the girl who does the voice of Ellie in the game will be in the next episode in potentially a big role, people are saying.
I do think those are cool little nods, and I haven't played the game. I don't know anything about the game, so this is all brand new to me. This is I don't know what's coming. I don't know what could possibly happen next, but I am willing to declare this. Far and away, video game people are worse than book people.
Oh, about the references and stuff like that?
Dude, like everyone, like the book was better, the game was better, this happened, this. I watched 8 seasons of Thrones, whatever it was. A handful of people, maybe over the 8-year span, maybe 5 people tweeted me something about the book. And maybe that's because it's less popular than the game was. But I am constantly inundated with people telling me about how things went down in the game versus how they happen in TV.
So earlier when I was like just laughing at you, like, sorry, Clem, I wasn't trying to interrupt you. I just was laughing because I was like, I feel like we get a good Feitelberg rant about people correcting him from zombies to clickers. It's like, I don't give a fuck that we say it every episode. We're like, zombies. All right, I know we didn't say clickers, apologies, but because we're like trying to keep the people on our side, we'll also let them know we're like already fed up with it, even though we haven't been corrected that many times so far.
You know what's crazy? I've somehow become a clicker guy. I was
just fully on the fence.
I was very strongly in the beginning. I was like, I'm calling them fucking zombies because they're obviously fucking zombies. And somewhere along the way, I saw the light, and I say clickers all the time.
I will say this. It does distinguish, like it makes you feel better about, because it's like, I don't watch a zombie show. I watch a clicker show. Because those zombies, they are the lazy bastards that walk so slow. And the reason I've never been a Walking Dead person or really any zombie show, because like back in 2013, it was all about zombie apocalypses. You remember that was like, how would you survive it? And it was kind of like with Bacon, where it got so annoying. It was like, all right, I'm out of zombies altogether. I never got into any of that zombie shit. So the fact I only got into the show because Bob was like, dude, I think this is going to be big. And I was like, I don't think so, man. I don't know if we should recap. He goes, it's the 9 o'clock slot on HBO. I go, I'm in, you motherfucker. Because I always say that is the fucking quarterback for the Dallas Cowboys of when it comes to like the show. You put that at 9 p.m. on HBO on Sunday night, I'm fucking in. If anyone says
I don't have a choice.
Yeah, exactly.
It's out of my hands. I gotta watch it. Dude, I'll say this too. Not only am I become a clickers guy, I say cordyceps all the time.
I saw you had a tweet about that. He's like, I think we're getting cordyceps battle in the finale. I was like, Feits is using the big words now. We're idiots. We're calling ourselves the nerds. Yeah, we're calling ourselves nerds. We're saying zombies. You're like, fellas, it's cordyceps. Get it right.
Dude, I didn't even have to Google how to spell it. I knew everything. I was like, cordyceps, capsid, cordyceps. I got it. Don't worry about it.
That's one of my favorite things about KFC is how he sticks to his rules and he never breaks them because he's like, I don't use apostrophes. I don't think he's used an apostrophe ever.
God
like,
damn right.
Fucking guy. He's like, I'm calling it WWF the rest of my life. Still calls it WWF, not WWE. Giancarlo Stanton, he just calls Mike Stanton every single time. You cannot get that guy to say Giancarlo Stanton. And then
Kevin also, like, this is back in the day. It doesn't happen so often anymore. Doesn't use the letter O. He uses 0 instead.
Always hit 0. I don't know why.
Is that real?
Right?
That's absurd.
That's diabolical behavior.
Heavy blogging. Kevin would always just have zeros all over the place.
I was laughing I was agreeing with everything Clem was saying up until the 0 thing. That's absurd. That's you should be put on a watch list for that.
K. Marco came to you at one point and was like, is there some reason you're doing this? Like, is it a bit or because he was like editing my shit? And I was like, What are you talking about? He's like every single blog, every day, at least one blog has a 0.
That's absurd.
I've had the same thing with Rico. He puts spaces sometimes like next to commas and like periods. I'm like, it's not the rule. He's like, no, I don't understand. It just appears there. I'm like, I can't even argue with that. You have to let it be. So I know Porno does the same thing. He has like the 7 spaces in between his tweets.
That dude, I can't imagine that Dave is actually that old. But I think it's because it can't be this. It can't be this. That when you use typewriters, you had to you had to hit space twice. It can't be that. It can't be that, right? But I know that's what. Like I know it's typewriters.
Because he says his mom was an English teacher, right? And that's like where it came from. So maybe it comes from her. So it's like a passed down thing. Maybe he wasn't the one on the typewriters, but he was told that growing up.
That makes more sense.
Maybe it's something like that. Back to The Last of Us. Ellie shoots a deer. She tracks it down. I felt so bad. I love seeing deer. So I was like, fuck. I'm such a pussy with that. Sydney Wells would hate me. And she tracks it. She sees the 2 preacher dudes watching over it. She negotiates for medicine, penicillin with them, but they turn heel on her quickly. And they're like, all right, we're going to follow her tracks and just go fucking slaughter that man tomorrow or bring him to justice. The preacher doesn't want to kill him. Everyone else is like, we're going to kill these people for killing our guys. Preacher, even in this moment, I didn't trust him. He's trying to be trustworthy. He's trying to say he's the cool guy. There was no way for a second I was going to trust him in this episode.
He had me for a bit. I'll admit, and I'm embarrassed to admit it, by the fire, when Ellie says, what do you do, some kind of weird cult thing? And he kind of giggles. He just like, oh, you got me there. It's pretty standard Bible stuff, but I am a preacher. I was like, all right, he might be so. Now, obviously, I have my antenna up with everybody in this show, but I was 50, maybe not even 50-50. I'll say I was 70, he was bad, 30, he might be good. And I quickly changed. But for a while there, I wasn't 100% convinced.
Clem, were you?
When he said, like, this isn't code words, I want you to get the medicine, and he brought the medicine back, I was like, all right, I'm sold to this guy. And I heard a lot of people saying, like, in the video game, you do missions with this guy, you fight clickers with this guy, so you like have to rely on him, and you really do become like friendly with him. And when he betrays you, it really does hurt. So I was in. I actually liked his like
that's interesting. You say betrayal, because one of the lines that bothered me from an earlier episode was, and maybe that's kind of what they were referring to. Maybe it was a nod like that, without spelling out in the TV show. I believe her name was Maria, Tommy's wife.
Yep.
Yeah.
And she tells Ellie when she's cutting her hair, she's like, "You don't trust me. That's good. You can only be betrayed by the people you trust." And I thought that was going to come into play in the episode. It didn't. But maybe that's what this is coming to. I feel like that was such a line. They felt like that line felt like a moment that I thought it was going to have to come up at some point. And I guess maybe this could be it, or maybe it happens in the future still.
So that was the line I was going to use when Bob decided to point to devil dogs and wrote sandwiched as his caption. And I couldn't find the exact line. And I was like, that's perfect. Like, I was just betrayed. Like, that was a completely unnecessary tweet. And I respect that you're keeping the dozen on our feeds and everything here and playing with the joke. It's just like, someone else does that, I truck it up. My guy Bob, I'm in the basement with him every fucking week, and this guy's stabbing me with a fucking rusty knife. I'm kind of fucked up. We did say this, John, though. You have brothers. Like, the way that his fucking brother was just saddled up having sex in like fucking 70-degree cabin as his brother's in Boston just trying to like survive. That's kind of like, wouldn't you look for your brother and try to get him there?
Bro, not even look for my brother. I'd at least answer his radio calls. Like if he's spending every night trying to get in touch with me, I'd be like, hey, bro, I'm safe. There's a pretty sweet commune out here if you're interested in being a communist. We got a pretty sweet setup with movie theaters and shit. Like, maybe try to get to Wyoming if you're not doing anything. I would surely at least acknowledge that.
By the way, I didn't want to betray you like that, Clem, but I parked my car and there was a Drake's truck next to where I parked my car. I was like, what are the odds of this? I have to take a picture. So, you know what? There was 2 Drake's trucks sandwiching my car, basically.
That's why I said, I'm happy to use the Giants picture because the curse of the boat has been lifted this year. I was like, any Mets stuff would have crushed me. He goes, yeah, Mets would have felt like it went too far. I didn't even like throwing the McGregor at you. So whatever. It's water under the bridge.
Under the bridge.
I also love this, and I'm so happy you Feits because I know Feits love this too. When Ellie kept calling him Buddy Boy.
Buddy Boy, yeah.
Such a great burn.
I loved it.
It's so much worse than Guy or Chief or any of those. Like, hey, buddy boy, and she's like, and you, buddy boy. Like she said, let him know you're buddy boy now. She said it twice. She established it. That motherfucker was buddy boy the rest of the episode for me. I don't even know what his real name was.
He would have been well within his rights in civilized society if he shot her for that. Let alone.
His fingers on the trigger, just looking at the preacher like, "You're gonna fucking let this happen?" Just call me buddy boy here.
Buddy is bad enough.
Oh, I know.
Disrespectful.
Yeah. The preacher returns back, and the girl, I think her name was Hannah, is like, "You should kill them for what they did to my dad." He walks up to her, he smacks the shit out of her, which was like, okay, we know exactly the kind of guy this is right away.
Yeah, that's where he lost by 30% there. He's smacking around a kid.
That dude couldn't handle one day as a parent. And that wasn't even his real kid. He didn't even have her as a baby. Trust me, dude. It's so much harder. Like, you had the kid basically given to you on easy level at that point. You just have to fucking just wheel her out and just feed her every day, man. That guy isn't made for parenting, man.
Well, speaking of feeding her, they feed the cabin, right? Did you guys have any light bulbs start going off when we know they're low on food? There's no deer out there, but they're eating. What are they eating?
I had zero light bulbs. I did not think that at all.
So they said it was venison, and they did pan on the meat, and I'm like, oh, that's some very nice looking venison right there, because I think that's what it looks like. I have no clue what it looks like. You could feed me humans for the rest of my life, I would have no fucking clue apparently. Because
I guess it's an argument for cannibalism, but all meat looks like meat to me. Like the second that came out, I was like, sure. I thought it was odd how they prepared it, where they just threw it raw into the soup. I was like, you gotta cook it first, and then you put the cooked meat in the soup. You can't just throw like. I'm not a chef. I've not been to culinary school. I don't think meat cooks that way. I don't think you can just boil meat uncooked.
And can I just say this too? And I don't think I'm alone here. These people's manners were shit. No one said thank you when they were picking up the soup, even if it was human, venison, whatever it was. Not one person said thank you. And I understand 20 years of a post-apocalyptic world breaks you down. Manners is the core of your fucking existence. Just one person could have said thank you. This fucking whole church was built on fucking a house of cards to begin with. That's why it all fell apart.
Clem, I'm really glad you brought up the manners thing, because I'm a big manners guy, particularly at dinner. I'm a huge table manners guy. The rattling of the spoons and the blade, I would have lost my goddamn mind. I would have gone on a hunger strike. I'd be like, I'm not eating if you're all making this much noise. It's not happening around here. It was just like,
it was like they were feeding a pig pen. It was crazy. The noises that were coming out of it. It was you're at a wedding and everyone's clinking their glasses trying to get the bride and groom to kiss. The worst part of the wedding, by the way, when people overdo that. Oh my God, I hate when that's overdone. So the religious freaks are onto Ellie. They start tracking her. She gives Joel a knife, and she's like, if someone comes down here, you need to stay awake, and you need to fucking kill them. Do whatever you can to survive. I'm going to go try to distract them. Gets on horseback, tries to shoot at them, run away and stuff. The horse gets shot, which we've had a lot of devastating deaths in The Last of Us. When I see a horse get shot, it just rips the fucking heart out of my chest like Kali Ma style. The leader takes Ellie. He locks her up. And then one does wind up finding Joel. He stabs him. And this was such a fuck yeah moment for me. Like, this was, me and Feits love our Gerard Butler movies. Almost a Gerard Butler-esque moment of like, yeah, he's the man. One-man army. Go get this girl back. Go get your baby girl back. He tortures two of them. The most savage scene of the episode. He threatens to fucking rip his kneecap off. Knife in the knee, I'll rip your kneecap off. Oh my God.
Dude,
my
jaw hit the floor. I went, oh, fuck yeah. Like, I got jacked up. You're very right with the Gerard Butler. You can even specify to a certain character. It's a very Mike Bannon moment, because Bannon loves fucking stabbing someone in the head. Loves it. Yep. And when he popped out and got him in the neck, I was like, let's go. And then the knee, that was obviously a little nod, a little throwback to the man Joel used to be. But that was primo. That was fantastic. That was a great scene. Shoving the knife in his mouth, being like, and he'd used that line earlier in the show with the native on the reservation. He was like, point to it. It better be the same spot they pointed to, which is such a. I would never think of that. I would never think to do something like that. It's such a genius way to make sure you're not getting lied to. Like, here, you go over here. You don't get to see what they just pointed to. You guys better point at the same fucking spot.
And then to kill him and go, why did you kill him? He told you the truth. Don't worry. I believed him. Oh my God. I was like, cast Pedro Pascal as Batman today. I want him as Batman now.
So I don't know my Gerard Butler movies as well as you guys do. My notes, I was like, first, I'm like, Joel is basically Joel McClane here. He's Bruce Willis by himself in Die Hard trying to get out of the building. Then I'm like, oh, no. He's John fucking Wick at this point. He's just murdering motherfuckers. And by the end, he was Creasy Bear. He was Man on Fire. And he was just like ripping kneecaps off and like getting people to like spill the beans. And I can't even blame these guys for being like, I mean, at this point, you can tell these guys were kind of sick of, I think, the preacher shit. So it's not like they were protecting like their families and like people they liked. I think they were just like, fuck it by that point. So also, I have to ask this. If you had it right now, inject someone with penicillin, I don't think I would have went in the wound. I would have I would either went in like the arm, like I would have just done the arm there, maybe the gut, maybe fucking, I don't think I would have Uma Thurman in the heart. But I don't like. I think they would tell you don't even go near the wound. I thought that was.
I wouldn't know what to do.
Yeah,
I was very shocked and impressed that she had any idea the proper amount of milligrams. Because like I definitely wouldn't give him half a syringe. I'd be like, I don't know. I'd if I had to throw out a number, I'd probably give them 1/8 of a syringe of penicillin. I don't know what the proper way to go is, but it looked like too much penicillin to me. I don't know what happens. I don't know if you can overdose on penicillin. I'm not a doctor. But that looked like too much penicillin.
I'll be honest with you, John. I have like, children's Tylenol and stuff. I don't even read the back. It's so small and old eyes are so bad. I just like, the little guy, he's smaller than her. We'll give him about a quarter of the cup, third of the cup. Actually, Bob, cut this from the pot. I don't think I should be.
Dyfus is listening after that one. Also, I was surprised she even knew how to use a syringe. Like a girl that grew up post-apocalyptic world. I was like, all right, she knows how to use a syringe. She knows how to use medicine. 2, why didn't the other side just give her poison in the penicillin bottle and be like, here you go?
I wondered that myself. Why are you giving him actual medicine? Like give him morphine. Like he'll overdose on morphine. Give him, I don't know, anything other than the thing that makes him stronger.
The one thing he needs.
If someone killed your boy, be like, we should make sure he's back to full strength pretty quickly.
It's like that, like a side effect of too much penicillin is you become a superhuman fucking Gerard Butler movie character. They fucked that one up pretty badly, yeah.
So they do lock Ellie up. They put her in a little prison, and she sees something that shocks her. And it's like, what the hell does she see on the floor that has her that shook? It's a fucking ear. They are eating people. These are religious cannibals. She can't believe it. She realizes, oh my God, I might be next to be eaten. The preacher tries to reason with her. And I wrote, it's like a weird ass Vader, Luke Skywalker thing where he's like, join me and we can rule the galaxy together. Just you and me. We'll be partners in this. And it's like, dude, at the end of the day, like you are like a dude with a full tribe of adults and you're talking to this 12-year-old girl like you and me are the truth. But he's obviously a creep. We learned that later on. She lures him in, breaks his finger, which I was rooting for. I said, lure him in, break his fucking finger. Me and Ellie, same wavelength. That's the kind of like kid move, the only thing you can do. And they go to chop her up, but she pulls the infected card. No, I'm infected. You can't do that. And you're infected now too, because I bit you. Fucking hatchet some guy in the throat. That was the Joel from the video game. Hatchet in the throat, run away.
He called her the C word too. Let's not bury the lead there, Bob. Called like
did.
A 12-year-old the C word. I was like, oh, this guy means business. So at this point, when he's like, we could build this together, I was on the same thing. Maybe it's because the nerd. I'm like, is he fucking trying to like recruit Luke Skywalker here? And then I did or he's looking for a wife here, basically.
What's a wife? Yeah.
And that's when I started really being like, we're in trouble, and it's not because there's ears on the ground right now.
Yeah, that's the least of our worries.
I don't know if he says we can multiply or we can grow or some of that. He says something that implied we're going to have a family together. And it was like, oh, you're a pedophile. I don't know what age is she supposed to be? I know the actress is 19. I don't know how
old. I don't know. I would guess like 14, 15.
14. That's exactly what I thought. Yeah. I pictured her in that realm. So yeah, I'm gonna throw the hard P on him. Pedophile.
Yeah. Pedophile. He's not suing the blog. He's not suing Kevin for that.
The Bella Ramsey has been unbelievable every episode. She's been great. But that scene in particular right there and what comes later, I thought was an absolute masterclass. When she does she's kind of almost weepy, injured, like it's like she's kind of like whispering, like Ellie, it's Ellie. And then he kind of turns around at the door, like thinking she's opening up, telling him, oh, here, like, this is what I am. You asked me my name earlier. It's Ellie. She goes, tell him it's Ellie. Who broke your fucking finger? I was like, I stand up. Let's go, kid. Let's go.
She earned herself the Emmy in that moment right there.
Yeah,
It's like, yeah, Bella Ramsey's getting an Emmy for this show. Pedro Pascal's getting an Emmy for this show. The two, Bill and Frank, are probably both getting guest star Emmys for this show. Just why don't you line them up? Just ship them right to their address now. We don't even need to do the award ceremony or anything. Joel starts searching for Ellie, and this is the moment where you think, like, all right, here's Joel's big moment. He's going to kick in a door and save the day, right? But no, he can't. He sees people skinned, hung up, decapitated. It's all fucked up looking. Ellie and the preacher are in a burning building. She throws a thing at him, lights it on fire. So I think even like, all right, the smoke will tell Joel that's where she is and he'll be able to get in. But Ellie is the only one that can save herself, is what Craig Mazin, the show creator, said in the after the show special. He said she's the only one that can save herself in this moment. And she does, from pure unadulterated violence. This preacher tries to rape her and she fights back. And she stabs this motherfucker with the hatchet 1,000 times, blood spraying all over her own face. She escapes the gas and everything. And then I have chills on my arm, literally talking about this moment. Joel hugging her from behind and saying, it's okay, I got you, baby girl. The same thing he used to call his daughter 20 years ago. The same words he hasn't spoken in 20 years. And her just being like, he hugging him. That was like one of the greatest moments in television right there. That was incredible.
That was fantastic. And like the juxtaposition between the two scenes where basically, I mean, Ellie's in hell. Ellie's literally in hell. She's in there with a preacher pedophile. The building's on fire. Like, it is her own version of a living absolute hell. And she battles her way out of it. And with, as you said, you know what? He deserved it, but I'm going to say it. It was too many stabs. There were one third of the way in, I was like, this is a lot of stabs. And then she proceeded to do that 3x. Like, that was so many goddamn stabs.
I was afraid she was going to burn alive. She was spending so much time in the room stabbing him.
It became a Family Guy bit, and you're just like, he just kept doing it over and over again. And like, you look at your watch, it's like, all right, this has been legitimately 15 minutes. It was when Kayvon Thibodeau kept doing the snow angel next to Nick Foles. He was like convulsing. And I was like, all right, this has officially reached Family Guy bit. This is the same exact thing, Feits. You're 100% right.
But the ending, then to end it with the reunion, was like, that was probably maybe the most powerful moment in the show so far.
Yeah, it was certain. I still think I wasn't scared until I met you. Gets me from Bill and and Frank. But that one's definitely up there for sure.
I watched it like 3 times before we went live, like the last like 20 seconds or whatever of the show. And Feits, I don't know how like I've gotten into the YouTube review game with shows now, where I watch like a little 20-minute YouTube just to kind of people who actually know what they're talking about, breaking things down. And they've mentioned things like Joel looks at his watch every time Ellie does something that reminds him of his daughter and shit. And that watch, it broke the day. Remember, she fixes the watch in episode 1. Sarah fixes the watch, gives it to him. Then it breaks that day, basically when she dies. So his life basically ended at that moment.
Time stops for him.
Working. So and they said, like, in this season, he's always looked at his watch whenever she does something that's kind of sweet, or, you know, kind of like bringing out the guy he used to be. And then when he says fucking baby girl, I got you, which is what he called. So I'm getting goosebumps just talking about it right now, man. That is, I don't know, top 3 moment of the show. I think the Bill and Frank has a moment. That has a moment. I don't know, man. Like, to have that moment in this episode, this fucking show, man. And all that being said, tell me if this is crazy. I'm starting to think I'm Team Fungus now, because it's the humans that are giving us all these fucked up moments. Like, that fucking preacher dude is a fucking asshole. He doesn't deserve to be on this world. In this world, the fungus takes better care of its people. Excuse me, what are they called, John? The cordyceps. The cordyceps. Yeah. Like, fucking remember Tessie was trying to go into her mouth and just like, they're just fucking trying to make each other live. That cordyceps isn't going and trying just to kill the other cordyceps. It's trying to just grow the species. Where we have these fucking, every week I just meet more people that just make me realize how awful humanity is. So I'm telling you, man, I might be #Team Fungus.
It is. All it's right. Not ideal. I'm gonna stay Team Humanity for now. At least.
You. Me too. I'll be on there with you. Yeah.
There is, I think the preacher, Clem, if that's who you want to side with, I believe he makes a comparable argument that he doesn't blame cordyceps. Right. He thinks the cordyceps is looking after its own flock, yada, yada. He understands on an intellectual level the cordyceps. I guess I kind of do, but I think that there is enough good in humanity that, and I'm sure there will be some downfall, but I forget the name of the town where Tommy lives. You can still see the good in humanity there.
Yeah.
Whereas maybe out on the fringe, you get the which actually is a nice little microcosm of life where in society you got your good people, and then on the outside on the fringe is where you kind of find the lunatics. But I think in the towns they're still good.
And let me to be clear, I understand. That's right. The preacher did say that. He's also part of Team Humanity. So he's not on my team in this. He's still on your guys' team. I'm going to be on the fungus team that just has the guys growing out of walls and shit. But it's like I'm starting to feel like the fungus is the good guy of the show. And I'll tell you who agrees with me. All the animals, all the plants, like they're just like, you got these fucking assholes finally to stop murdering us and taking over our land. I'm starting to feel, I'm feeling like Tommy when realize like he's a communist. I'm starting to realize I'm like anti-human live on this podcast as I talk about it.
So Feits, we talked about Tommy's town. Go ahead.
I was gonna say this is a Thanos had some good ideas pod.
Yes, from
Clem. A little too far.
Clem is a Thanos is right guy. But we were talking about Tommy's town a few weeks ago, and I said if I were in this post-apocalyptic world, I would make it my goal to hunt down movies and open up a movie theater like this. Like try to get popcorn for people and then play like E.T., followed up by Indiana Jones, followed up by The Departed, like the greatest movies of all time that people haven't seen in this world. What do you think you would try to do as a job if you were in The Last of Us? Let's say you made it to Tommy's town and they were like, all right, you're in like kind of a safe society. Now, like, do something for work.
Bob, I have zero skills. I would probably, I'd be like, you guys interested in podcasts? And if they said no, I'd say, that's cool. I'll go on sewage duty because that's about the two things I can offer you.
Fair enough. Maybe they would be interested in podcasts, though. That'd be fun, going to a live podcast in a post-apocalyptic world.
Yeah. like so, I don't even know what I'd say. Like, fucking.
And you answer the internet questions. Guys? Yeah. Yeah. Would you rather be locked in a room with 2 cordyceps or have fungi for fingers? You know?
I have one for you guys, actually. I wrote this note down. Bob, would you kill a deer or eat, like, a little piece of cooked human?
Oh,
kill it with your bare hands. Kill a deer with your bare hands.
Clem. I'm not a cannibal. I'd have to kill a deer.
I was hoping we'd get like a sound clip of you saying you're a cannibal. Again, there's a little bit of a war in the basement right now.
I love deer, but like I'm not more than human. Come on. So for the finale next week,
the human died of natural causes? He's already dead. You don't have to kill him.
He's a tasty human,
but I know it's a human going in. Like I know him. The piece of meat I'm putting in my mouth is human.
He's a little curious right now, right? Like, aren't you a little bit? Like, how was that soup?
Yeah, they didn't seem to be complaining. That was like a happy rattle with their spoons. Like, oh, this is some good fucking meat right here, Bob.
If it's just one bite, one bite.
Everyone knows the rules. Everyone knows the rules.
Everyone knows the rules. Just one bite. Maybe I'd do it. Post-apocalyptic world, anything goes. You know, it's not this world.
Yeah, we were saying that with the guys up in the Andes. They ate some people and they were welcomed back into society. You did what you got to do to survive, right?
Yeah.
Was it a Cuban soccer team, Colombian soccer team? I forget. Sorry, no, maybe Argentinian. Yeah, there was a plane crash in the Andes Mountains, and they were there for 72 days, I think, and they ate the guys who died.
Oh my god!
I think is that alive? That's alive, right?
Yes,
what's
I
alive?
believe so.
Oh, they made a movie about it.
Yeah. I always think like, I mean, obviously it's a lot different now with Penn, but if like Barstool ever went under and like those of us that wanted to like pursue roles in like sports media, they would treat us like they treated the cannibals. Like they just did whatever they had to do to survive to, you know, get the paychecks. But, you know, they're good people at heart. Like, you know, the really bad guys, we don't want to hire them. But like Clem was a nice guy. He's, you know, we need a Giants writer, so we'll take him in.
I wanted to ask, with the ending of this episode, with I Got You, Baby Girl, how does that change their relationship going forward? Because I did kind of enjoy their back and forth where he was kind of the grumpy old man. She was the girl trying to win him over. At this stage, I think it's safe to assume he's been won over, right? When he's dropping lines like that, it's hard to go back to the grumpy, crotchety guy when we now know what he feels for her. And we've known all along, but now she knows. Now it's been almost explicitly said, like, I love you, I'll do anything for you, you'll do anything for me. Like, she had a chance to get out of there and go on her own, and she had a chance to get out of there and just let the Raiders find him and kill him. And now they both know what each other will do for each other. It will almost be disingenuous to keep playing those two characters now, where you're like, oh, grumpy guy with I got this burden of this young girl with me that I don't want. You want it. Now we know you want it. Now we know this is who you are as a man who loves this little girl.
I'm kind of excited to see this dynamic now in the last episode, which is, I think, is how the first video game wraps up, right? Is the way it's trending here, which I don't know the video game. I've never played it, but that's just what I've heard. So I would love to see.
I got a tweet today that said it. And actually, I got multiple tweets, which are tough to decipher which is real and which isn't. But I had one that stuck out because I had tweeted about the clicking in the woods, and someone said, if it ends the way the first game ends, whoa boy, or something along those lines. I don't know exactly what it was, but that was what the general message was.
So I going back, I tried to play the game when it first came out. Like everyone, I was like, oh, this is the new game. I bought a PlayStation 3 for it, started playing it, and I was like, all right, I'm clearly bad at video games because I fucking suck at this. So I just went on YouTube and watched all the cutscenes. And I swear, watching this show, I remembered the first episode. Like, oh, I remember playing that in the video game. I didn't remember anything after it. And I do remember the ending. So I'm not going to say anything. I obviously won't spoil it for anyone out there. I do sort of remember the ending, and I'm very much looking forward to next week's episode. I can't believe it's already the ending. Like, it feels, like we said earlier, like 9 episodes feels quick. I think the finale is only 43 minutes, which I was a little bummed about.
Oh, man.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I don't like hearing that. But if you're giving us great content, I would rather it be short than drag. You know what I mean? I'd rather go, all right, I want more of that. And we know we're getting season 2 on deck. Then, all right, I was ready for that to end by the time it's over. But I do think, like you said, the dynamic will change, and Joel will go from more of a grumpy person to more of a like desperate father doing anything to save this girl. Yeah. And like, you even look at her the wrong way, you're getting your kneecap torn off.
Right.
Oh, fuck. So we're going to get more Creasy Bear? I am signed the fuck up.
I think we might. Yeah.
Yes.
I feel like Joel is going to be full on like, and I don't know anything about The Last of Us 2 or what season 2 will hold, but I feel like season 2 could be like Joel and Ellie against the fucking world. And they're like absolute savages out there. Not like cannibals, but just like, with their tactical skills.
Not like you, Rob. You would eat me.
Not like me. Yeah, no. But they were there for, no, she did throw the food away. She was like, "You're eating people, you motherfucker." I was like, maybe she ate a bite while she was there. She didn't. I can't wait for the finale next week, though. Feits, thank you for joining us. Do you have any predictions for next week? I saw you said the cordyceps battle.
I'm going cordyceps battle in the woods. I know those big battles, at least going back to Thrones, those are usually used in the penultimate. The finale usually isn't for the big battles. Battle of the Bastards and fucking Helm's Deep and all that shit. That was the second to last. But I'm holding out hope that we get at least, it doesn't have to be a war, but at least a good fight with some cordyceps, with some clickers. That's what I'm hoping for. We'll see.
Does this show make you look at mushrooms different?
No, I like mushrooms still.
I don't think so either. I saw Pedro Pascal said the same thing. Pedro was on Seth Meyers the other night, and he was like, "Nah, I still love mushrooms."
I don't like the real ones. I like the other ones.
Yo, you don't like the real ones? I love the real ones.
Oh, no, I don't care.
On a burger or something?
No, heavens no. No, I don't like the texture. But a mushroom that'll make me fucking see God? Yeah, I fuck with those.
Clem, any predictions?
I think I've been saying Feits. I feel like the difficulty's been on easy, where in the video game we're not seeing any of these clickers. I feel like we're going like 4 out of 5 next episode. It's going to be some weird shits coming out. Maybe like a creature we haven't seen before. I guess we had the bloater, right? We got one or I would love to see another bloater or something like that. But
I want to see an even fatter bloater. I want to see just the fattest infected person I could possibly see.
I thought the bloater didn't quite translate to television. I thought I get it in a game where you kind of have to have a boss. I thought it looked a little silly on TV. It was just like, why is this guy so huge? I mean, it wasn't, it wasn't a huge detriment.
Yeah, it didn't do much either.
Yeah, right. It was
that was the other thing.
I mean, I guess his thing is ripping heads open, so we did see that, which I guess was
cool. Yeah,
the game. Yeah, that was cool. But I thought when like everyone else was around, I was just like, why is like they swell up or something like that? I didn't really fully wrap my head around why he was so much bigger. I guess as things grow, they get bigger. Is really all the logic it needs.
That is how things work. Yeah.
I was going to ask Robbie his prediction. I remember he's seen the ending, so I guess we can get it. Bob, hey, what happens?
Yeah, I do sort of like. Yeah, I have like a broad strokes ending. So like I'm still going to enjoy it, and I think I'm still going to be surprised by things throughout the episode, but I just kind of like know the way they'll wrap it up. And after the show wraps up, I will go back and I'm going to play the game on stream for people to be able to watch.
I've been thinking about I usually like once a year I'll dip my toe into video games before I accept the fact that I suck at them and they pass me by. I'm about due for another toe dipping, and I might give it a whack. I might see if I do the last one. The last game I tried was Red Dead Redemption, and bro, I couldn't figure out how to squat behind a building. Like it was I didn't get past, like, I don't even think I was at a level technically. I think it was like the intro to the game. And I couldn't get past it.
Yeah, that's kind of how I am with video games too, to be honest. So The Last of Us will be interesting. Me trying to make my way through that.
The Feits annual trying to play video games, or it's at least a semi-annual, like once every 2-3 years now. That was always one of my favorite running things here at Barcelona, running franchises. So it's nice to know you might.
Yeah, Twitch and shit. I'm gonna be fucking playing video games, and then I'll quit pretty quick.
Well, you better catch up. I was gonna say you got Nick, who's a nerdum, and now you got KFC playing every fucking video game under the sun.
I know.
Assassin's Creed and Spider-Man and shit. Yeah, you're now the odd man out for not being a nerd in that KFC radio studio.
That sick fuck Nick's gonna have like a full intro and all these different graphics for you by the time like we're done with this episode, man. So you like, don't you start like throwing things out there, Feits, unless you could keep these promises.
Yeah, Nick is like, that's actually perfect that you'll play The Last of Us because I already have a 3D model of you as a bloater. All right. Thank you for tuning in to this Last of Us recap. I cannot wait for the finale. Do we have a hashtag for the people to use if they made it to the end, Clem?
I got one. I think it's a good one too. Hashtag Basement Buddy Boys with a Z.
Oh, I like that. Hashtag Basement Buddy Boys if you made it to the end of this one. And we will see you next week for the finale.